Black and beautiful means nothing unless you're black and powerful. Let's just get that straight. You cannot be black and proud and niggas too. Okay, that white folks are planning for 3 generations and we're planning for Saturday night, right? Because whole brothers and sisters is to win, not to look like we're winning. I would rather carry a plastic bag with $5,000 in it than to carry a $5,000 Louis Vuitton bag with $100 in it. Louis Vuitton winning, Nike is winning, Gucci is winning, Armani is winning. You ain't winning. We are the consumption class. They are the merchant class. They make stuff. We buy stuff. It is interesting to me that the rich stay rich by pretending to be poor, and the poor stay poor by pretending to be rich. And all the statistics tell us this. The Institute of Policy Studies, April 2017, the Economic State of Black America said, and I give you the final quote from that 300-page study, which no Negro read, that by 2053, 10 years after the majority becomes the minority, if nothing changes among African Americans, household median wealth will be 0. In effect, we will have worked our way into a second slavery. Try to operate in a market-based economy and a democratic capitalistic society without money. Let's see how that works for you. And ain't nobody fixing us but us. White people are not fixing black people. It's been 400 years and we ain't fixed. We're not even thinking about black people. And I'm not hating on white people. I'm just telling the truth. You know who white people are thinking about? They're thinking about white people. They're thinking about their wives, their children, their communities, their schools, their businesses, and your pockets. That's what they're thinking about.
So this is the only part where he's really wrong. They are thinking about black people, and the reason they're thinking about black people is to figure out how to take more from black people. So you can't say everything you said at the beginning about the consumption and the consumer, and then at the end say you're not even thinking about the consumer. That doesn't make sense.
But you know what?
Your thoughts are all about the consumer. Maybe it's for selfish purposes, but your thoughts are all about the consumer.
But
you know the consumer, you can know what to sell.
But I find it interesting that AP, that was the first thing you thought about. So you went straight to white people when the entire video was about black people. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's almost like you jump to the other to make the other person accountable. Let's talk about Nick. We be niggas out here.
No,
I agree.
I agree. I said I agree. I said I agree with everything except for how he said it at the end. I agree with what he said.
He's saying that he don't agree with the fact that he said that white people ain't thinking about black people because they are. But I think in the context in which the guy was talking about, he meant they ain't thinking about black people in terms of trying to save us or trying to look out for us. That was the context in which he was talking about, speaking to it.
That I originally heard that speaking point from him. I think that's in his book Freakonomics, not Power Economics. I think it's like that he might be reading that entire excerpt from there, because I heard pretty much the exact same. I read pretty much the exact same part in that book. The average median net worth. Most people are living check to check, and I think the average. Do you have the stats up right now? Because it might be way before 2053. Because most people are living check to check. The price of rent is going up. The home ownership is on the decline. People are taking longer and longer to buy their first starter property. We in a bad way financially, and we are, like Kanye said, I can't go to the store without some ones that's clean and a shirt with a team. Like, I fell victim to that too. I wanted to always make sure I was extra fresh every time I stepped out the house, but I ain't bought nothing since I had kids. Like my stuff probably 3 year, however old Rye is. That's the last time I went shopping for myself. My kids gave me a lot of self-reflection and putting things in perspective of what was really important. For other people, it might be something else. But once you solve for that and you can figure out what matters, you spend differently, you think differently, and you consume differently. And one of the roles about men being in the home is we temper spending as well. So women are emotional spenders by and large. So that's why most advertisements go towards women, because they've always said historically women can control that's across spectrums, control the purse strings within a home. So if you can appeal to them, then you will be able to create a consumer base. To what AP was saying, we are the consumer base in capitalism. You need consumers. So to that point, but yeah, I think that it's again where everything boils back to, it's an internal issue. Because when you solve for self and you become enough, then you know you have enough. But as long as you feel you're lacking, then you will always be out trying to fix that internal problem with an external solution, and it's very temporary at best.
You're on mute, Chan.
When we talk about women, thank you. When we talk about women and consumerism, I think that's all women. That's not Black women. That's all women. Like
I said that.
Okay.
No, I said that. I said all women across races.
Okay, gotcha. I'm sorry. I just want to emphasize it with emphasis.
So as much as I agree with what the gentleman said in the video, it's not by happenstance. It's by design, right? When we take a look at the history of Black people in predominantly non-Black countries, there's this forced assimilation, right? You have to, not only do you have to look a certain way and talk a certain way in order to fit in and have opportunity, but what's the saying? You have to work twice as hard to have half as much, right? This idea of having a look of emulating wealth in order to get opportunity, that isn't something that's inherent to Black people. We were taught that because in corporate America, at the grocery store, when you're being pulled over by the police, whatever the circumstances is, when you're just out here navigating, whether you're at a parent-teacher conference, when you're out there navigating in society, if you don't have a look that is considered acceptable by that greater society, you're not taken seriously. You're not given the same opportunity. You're not given interactions that have dignity and respect behind them, right? And so I think a lot of people don't know how to really temper that or have the self-confidence to navigate that, even if you don't fit in. But let's not pretend that Black people just impose this on themselves out of thin air and said, you know what, we're just going to buy all these things just for the fun of it. Black people have a swagger to them that even if they're wearing rags, it becomes cool. And we know that because, what was it, just a few years ago, all of the high-end brands had a bunch of holes in everything, whether it was t-shirts to everything. Kanye started it and all the other brands started doing it too. Everything looked like it came out of Value Village and it was really tore up. There is a swagger that's natural to Black people, but it's not accepted or respected in the same way unless it comes with a label. It's so easy for people to just like spew these facts of like, Black people aren't concerned about these things. I have never in my life met a single Black person who is not worried about the generations behind them. They just don't have the tools or the knowledge to do it appropriately. And that's not by accident either. Think about when it comes to like financial literacy, how challenging it is for the average person to have access to that knowledge. They give you bits and pieces here and then hide all of the important stuff behind paywalls or networks that most people don't have access to, right? It's so easy to spit out these facts of like, you know, I'd rather carry it in a garbage bag. I promise you that man has never carried that much money in a plastic bag in his life. And yet he's imposing that on Black people that you got to do it this way in order to make it. We give these things that are so clickbaity that it inspires this conversation in the wrong direction. We want to have a conversation about financial literacy. Let's actually talk about financial literacy. That doesn't include, you know, not having coffee because people need coffee to function, right? Let's talk about financial literacy.
Bothering you, ain't it? That Starbucks bothering you. That Starbucks bothering you.
Listen, I don't. Me and Starbucks aren't friends anymore. But that was the advice that was given. If you give up your Starbucks every day, then like you can save X amount of money and you can invest that. People need their coffee to function, right? And it's that simple. Like that, it's not viable financial literacy tools that you're giving to people. It's clickbaity and it sounds fun and it sounds easy and all of this. It's not actually helping generations because you know what? Those rich people who are pretending to be broke, they're still buying their Starbucks, whether there's a boycott or not. They're still lining up to buy their $8-9 lattes every freaking morning. That's not the key to financial literacy. But we want to wag our finger at Black people and be like, if you just stop spending it on X, Y, and Z, that's not it, right? Because rich people, sorry, Shane, I'm going to end on this. Rich people will invest in expensive things because they know the things that will continue to hold value past the point of purchase. Black people don't understand that, so they buy the things that are equally expensive that they depreciate in value because we don't have that understanding of it. The financial literacy tools are just not there.